the Toyota Land Cruiser, world's toughest four-wheel drive. There's no stopping a Toyota. It's the toughest, guttiest, keep-goingest power package ever built into a four-wheel drive. Toyota goes where wheels never went before, over rocks and ridges, through mud, flood, sand, and snow. Toyota's got a big workhorse six-cylinder engine with 135 horsepower. 9 forward, 3 reverse gear combinations that take you...
So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is my UZJ100 Land Cruiser 2004. Sitting pretty now on some new shoes. Before it had the stock wheels on it, which some people like. I think they're hideous in my opinion. So I needed to get rid of them. I needed new tires anyways. They were rolling on some Bridgestone Duelers, which is like the famous stock tire for all SUVs from Toyota for some reason. They were very worn down and needed to be replaced anyways, and I've always wanted to get some nice wheels. I've never had new wheels. I always had like hand-me-down wheels and painted wheels. So I wanted to get some nice ones for the Land Cruiser. It deserves it. So I went with the 704s from Method Racing, and they are wrapped in the Toyo Open Country ATIIIs. Beautiful tire. They got a nice aggressive look, but not overly aggressive. For an all-terrain, they got some pretty good knobs on them. They seem to grip really good. I haven't done any serious off-roading in them whatsoever, just slight trails like such as this is like nothing. But yeah, I think they'll do just fine. They've been tested and proven. But I went with a kind of unique size. I went with 255/80 R17s. Now I did this so I could run 33s. Now technically these are 33-inch tires, but sitting on the truck, obviously they're going to lower a little bit. They're down to 32s with the weight of the vehicle. But I think they fit on the truck just right. I think it's a great size for these vehicles. Unless you're trying to do a really big lift, then you're going to want to get bigger tires. But I'm not trying to go crazy. Eventually I'll probably do a 2-inch lift. So the reason I went with the 255/80 R17s is I like the tall and skinny look. There's actually another YouTuber who posted his vehicle, actually the same color, just a newer year, with the same size tires on it, but he had the Falcon Wild Peak, so I think they're slightly less aggressive with their tread pattern. But I really like the Toyos, and I had my heart set on the Toyos, and that's what I was going to do. Plus, I didn't want to do the same thing that Chris did in his vlog. I think it's Chris X or something like that. But I really appreciate him for showing that, because that really helped me move to this decision. So instead of going with a traditional like 265 or 285 people run with, which it is kind of confusing to me, these tire sizes. But anyways, 255/80 R17 is a 33. There's some deer back there. You guys trying to get in the vlog or what? We got construction going on. I'm trying to go film a video in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, there's like construction off in the distance, and it's just coming straight to here. So if you guys hear that, sorry. So those are the tire specs. So the wheels are 704s from Method Racing, and they are 17/8.5 with a 0 offset. So they are going to poke out a little bit on this truck, but that was what I wanted in a sense. So I didn't want to get big bulky tires. So if you got like 285s and you got a 0 offset wheel, you're gonna have a lot more tire poke outside of the vehicle. You may like that, that's fine. I'm not a huge fan of that, and I'm really not a huge fan of those people who put like giant freaking tires way outside of their wheel well, because you are rock flingers and you damage everybody's windshield and it looks ridiculous. But anyways, I didn't want that much poke, all right? So I was like, okay, well, if I get a 255, it's a narrow tire, put it on a 8.5 wheel that has a 0 offset, the tire is going to come in a little bit more on that wheel because it's got a stretch. So I think it would fit perfect. And I just kind of went with that, and luckily it did. It fits perfect in my opinion. It's got just a little bit of poke out, but that's just like the sidewall really, and I think it looks perfect. But just know if you're going to get a meteor tire, it's going to poke out just a little bit more on these Method 704s. So most wheels that I was looking at, they all had the 0 offset, just to get the size of the wheel for the Land Cruiser. A 0 offset, 5 by I think 150, and a 110 bore. And as you notice, there's no center cap on the front because the center cap will not fit, because Land Cruiser front axles and stuff, whatever it is, Land Cruiser hubs, they poke out. Now it'd be nice if there was some kind of way to design one in there, but I think the bolts for the hub too that are on the interior of it will kind of not allow that to happen, because I'm pretty sure Method would have done that. But the center caps that go on the back, they look awesome. I really wish I could rock them in the front. but that's okay, it still looks great. I looked around at a bunch of other wheels, some ones that have different offsets that might have been a little bit more sucked in flush, but a lot of them were bumping up to 18s, 19s. You know, I wouldn't want to go any bigger than 17. I would have preferred a 16 really, but that was like very, very impossible to find. Yeah, so I landed on these and I'm very excited I made this decision because they look great. So let's talk about how these tires fit. This is stock. This is a stock Land Cruiser, stock height, no AHC. All right, so if you don't know what AHC is, it's the automatic lifting system that some of these vehicles came with, and I think all the LX470s versions of these cars came with the automatic lifting system, which is really cool. But a lot of people get rid of them because they're very expensive to maintain and fix and so forth, and I didn't want to deal with that, so I made sure I found a Land Cruiser that didn't have that on it already. My plan in the future will probably be to do like just a 2-inch lift on here, maybe like an Ironman lift or something like that. We'll see, but for now the stock height is doing just fine, but there is a little bit of rubbing in the front. All right, so when I looked at this, a lot of people said that there's not going to be really any rubbing issues, and I expected maybe a little bit. It rubbed on the inside of the wheel well, and I had to just cut the plastic out because it was real bad. When you turned and everything, it was just constantly rubbing. So I just took a Dremel, cut that little plastic piece out. That kind of fixed the issue. But when I'm, say, traveling on a highway and I hit a big bump on the highway, because you know I-4, yeah, it rubs a little bit. It's nothing crazy. It'll rub a little bit. And I noticed when you're turning and you hit like a bump or turning into a driveway or something and it bumps, you get a little bit of rub. So I found one point on the driver's side and the front, there's a plastic well piece there that rubs a little bit. It's nothing major. It actually doesn't catch anything. It just rubs, so you're gonna hear it. And the other spots I haven't really discovered. I think it's still rubbing where I cut it a little bit. When you hit bumps and it's flexing it, it's starting to push on that little bit of piece of plastic that I have left, and the pinch weld. So a lot of people bend that pinch weld over, which I might end up doing. But before I do all that, my plan is to do a torsion bar lift. Now I know torsion bar lifts can make your ride height very rough and so forth, but I'm only going to try to do it to where it lifts it up maybe ½ an inch or so and hopefully fixes that issue. If at that point I'm still having rubbing issues, I will probably just pinch that pinch weld. I'll probably bend it back or whatever I need to do to try to avoid and limit as much rubbing as possible. Now listen, I don't care about rubbing as long as it's not damaging anything and it's at, you know, low speed, stuff like that. It's not a huge deal, but I'd like to try to limit it as much as possible, and it'd be nice to get the front a little bit more even with the back. But yeah, so other than that, man, you're gonna be fine. All right, so if you want to run this size, you shouldn't really have much problems. You're just gonna have to do the same thing I did, or find another way to do it. You could maybe melt the plastic back. I tried to do that first, but it just kind of got all wonky. It didn't really do very well. So I just ended up taking a Dremel and cut it out. I was like, you know, whatever, it's fine. So how are they on the road? Now, coming from those duelers who are like it was an all-terrain, but it was so worn down, it was pretty much a smooth tire. They weren't loud at all. It was actually very quiet. These, a little bit louder, but to be expected. They're an all-terrain, but they're not loud, okay? They're not obnoxious whatsoever. They're fine. You'll be fine. It sounds like a truck. It's nice. And how do they ride? They ride great on the highway. They're very smooth tires. They're very grippy. You know, and having the 255s, the steering feels really good. The input, everything. So they're nice. They're not loud at all. And yeah, they're not like some of these crazy. I know some people run these tires that are just like. I'm like, how do you live? I can't stand that. So yeah, they're nothing like that. They're great. And then off-road, I haven't really, like I said, I haven't really done any crazy off-road. I hope to do some soon, but I want to get this thing in good shape before I start taking it off-road. So hopefully you guys understand that. But I just did this little trail here. It's locally. It's nothing crazy, but it does flex out the tires a little bit and everything. And you are rolling on a little bit of rough terrain, and they do just fine. They're very smooth, and yeah, I don't have any issues. You know, you're not feeling bumps like crazy or anything. They're fantastic tires in my opinion so far. I've had no issues. So obviously, when I have a lot of miles on them, I will return and do an update video for you guys. Just to let you guys know how they have done and how they have lasted a certain amount of miles and so forth. But for now, they're brand spanking new. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope we gave you guys some ideas if you're out there looking to do something similar. Yeah, so now you guys know. If you like it, cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, there's some more future things coming with this. I got a bunch of videos I haven't even edited yet that I've done on this vehicle. So let me know what you think the next modification should be on the Land Cruiser. I don't know which direction to go next. Maybe a roof rack. I definitely want to probably paint the emblems and get rid of all the chrome. I'm not really a fan of chrome, so I'm probably gonna black all those out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you guys next time.